Hey everybody, it's Matt Sharrers. Welcome to the SBI podcast. My guest this week, Stephanie Ciccarelli, Chief Brand Officer for Voices.com. Stephanie is the co-founder of Voices.com, and she helped put them on the map by leveraging brand strategy to fuel unprecedented revenue growth. I hope you enjoyed the show.
From SBI's Executive Briefing Center in Dallas, Texas, the most watched and listened to content in B2B sales and marketing, it's the SBI podcast with your host, Matt Sharrers.
Welcome to the SBI podcast, a weekly show dedicated to helping you make your number. Today, we're going to demonstrate how to create an inspiring brand that tells your strategic story. So why this topic? Your competitors are making the same claims and the same promises as you. They're even using the same words. So brands that are built on who you are and what you do not result in above average revenue growth. Your brand impacts revenue growth when it gets activated by the sales force and becomes uniquely relevant to your customers and your prospects. My name is Matt Sharrers. I'm the CEO of SBI. I'm also your host. Joining me in the studio, as always, is my beloved co-host, Melissa Valdez. Hey, Melissa.
Welcome to our audience.
So Melissa's here to point you in the right direction. And as Stephanie and I walk through what I think is going to be a really exciting interview. So joining me via Skype is Stephanie Ciccarelli, and she is the Chief Brand Officer for Voices.com. Stephanie, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, thank you, Matt, and thanks, Melissa. I'm Stephanie Ciccarelli, and I am the co-founder and Chief Brand Officer of Voices.com. We're an online marketplace that connects businesses and brands with professional voice talent.
So tell me a little bit more about that. When you say connecting businesses and brands with professional voice talent, I'm on the edge of my seat. So what would, give me a little bit more detail so the audience can understand.
Sure. Well, what we do is we help to give business a voice, so to speak, right? So it could be a video game, could be the voice in the elevator, second floor going down. It could be any number of different things that you hear on a daily basis. Or, it could be one of those animated films that you're going to go out and see. Like, there's just so many different ways that voiceover can be applied. Some of them are obvious and others are not.
Wow, fascinating. Okay, great. So, Melissa, before Stephanie and I jump into it, I think you're going to share with the audience so that they can follow along a couple resources.
Yes, absolutely. And Stephanie, so excited to have you as a fellow performer. Just love seeing performers in the workplace here. So, for those of you who'd like to follow along, we will be leveraging the How to Make Your Number workbook for 2018. We are going to be in the marketing strategy section. And if you don't quite have that workbook yet, you can go to sbi.tips/2018 workbook.
All right. Okay, Stephanie, so we're going to jump into it. So here you are, marketing leader of an emerging technology company. Brand is obviously important to you. So share with the audience, why is that?
Well, I think the brand is really the essence and the heart of any company. So when you think about a brand, it will have different emotions that come up for you. You'll have memories tied to it. Like just a brand that I think about and just thought of now is one that I have warm and fuzzy memories about is Cheerios, right? Or maybe Tim Hortons. I know that Canadians listening will identify with that. So the brand is really, it's what you perceive that company to be and who they are to you. It involves the product and the services, yes, but ultimately at the core, it's about the company almost as a person, as if they were your friend and someone that you can relate to, something that is reliable, dependable, and also something that might grow with you depending on your relationship with that brand.
Right. Well, despite the fact that I live in the United States now, I am a fellow Canadian, so Stephanie and I are connected via places like Tim Hortons and Hockey Night in Canada and how it makes us feel. So if nothing else, we share that commonality. So Stephanie, so many of our listeners and viewers are what I would call traditional sales leaders. And when they hear brand, it sounds squishy. It isn't something that they think about really driving revenue of the sales organization out on the street. So was there a compelling event that drove the need to focus on brand? And if you were a sales leader listening, how might you connect brand and revenue growth?
Well, one way to connect brand with revenue growth is something as simple as your name or your domain name for that matter, right? So before we were voices.com, we had a website called interactivevoices.com. And this confused a lot of people. You know, they'd reverse the order of the name. They'd take an S off the end. Somehow it wasn't what they thought. And it also didn't imply that we did anything other than voices for interactive applications. So for us, it was kind of like a bit of a crisis. You know, we know we're an amazing company. We want to be on the world stage. We certainly behave that way, and we are competent in those areas. But our name is holding us back, and that's when we thought, well, what if we changed our name, or what if we thought of something that was more compelling? And after a number of different ideas had popped into my husband's head and mine, you know, be it Voxio or Voxy or Vox.com, which, as you know, we did not get. Right. Someone else owns that name. You know, what we thought, well, what if it was more of a name shortening? So instead of being, you know, interactivevoices.com, we were voices.com. And, you know, the name just happened to be available in a way, as in the website it had a medical journal on it. There wasn't really any activity going on. But, you know, the fact of the matter was that word, that dictionary word, voice, you know, the human voice, that could be ours. And you know, because of acquiring that domain name, our company grew, like incremental growth, you know, day after day as being interactivevoices.com was suddenly like we just got on the rocket ship. So with regard to the name, and it's a beautiful thing. And our domain name actually is from 1998. So to make it even sweeter, of course, you know, an older vintage for a domain name, more search engine optimization results. It really did help to catapult us to the level that we knew we could be at, and also to get the customers and the awareness from industry and also the respect of many people in the industry that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
Right. So, Stephanie, have you done a brand audit, or did you do one before you made the change? And if so, what did it reveal?
Well, we do these every now and then, so it's not like once a year. It's like, now it's time for the brand audit. Like that's not what we're doing. But I often will have my eyes on, you know, any number of moving parts within our company. So it could be something like a telephone script when someone picks up the phone, or maybe it's an answer in a frequently asked questions database. But it's also the content that we produce on a daily basis, and it's how we respond. All the different touch points are really included in what is considered to be a brand audit. But you know, at a certain point, when you're not the only person who's responsible for helping to shape what that content is, or crafting the scripts or whatnot, you have to give other people the tools to know how to walk in that same path and footsteps. So as a result of kind of doing these every, you know, here and there and finding, oh, well, that email signature, and I don't know, and maybe we need to fix this, it became actually quite clear that we needed to have a guideline or some kind of a style guide even that our brand abided by, so that when we onboarded new people and they had their training, it wasn't a matter of, you know, not like they had a package that they could look at to know exactly what color palette, you know, item was we were using here, or those sort of words that we had, or the personality of the brand. It is so important that you do understand that every person in your organization is an extension of your brand. And as such, you do need to train everyone in your organization on how that impacts them in their daily life, and how that affects your customers and the stakeholders and the industry at large.
So, last question in this segment, and I love how you've laid this out. So, was there a specific audience of the brand, and were you thinking through what the Voices.com brand did for them when you were going through your audit?
Right. Well, we have a two-sided marketplace. So we have buyers and sellers. And we started by focusing on the voice artists, the voice actors, because that's kind of where my background is. I have a music degree. But anyway, that aside, you know, with two audiences, you do need to speak to both of them. So we had the unique challenge of kind of trying to have the same personality, the same voice, the same voices.com, but we needed to make sure that our messaging was tailored to each of those sets. So, you know, long story short, I suppose, is that it is the same voices.com that is talking to both. It's just that the type of messages that it gives those people, or the resources made available, are different.
Very good. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. Stephanie and I are going to have a little rest, and Melissa is going to share a quick tool that we think you might get some benefit from.
Yes, absolutely. So SBI has developed a fantastic web-based self-assessment that will help you evaluate the probability of making your number. Many of you have maybe just received your revenue target for the year and you're wondering, how am I going to do this? So I encourage you to go take this self-assessment. There are 5 different areas. It takes about 20 minutes. You can take one or all of the areas, and the output of that is a roadmap for you to get from where you are to where you want to be. And to get this fantastic tool, you'll go to sbi.tips/revenue growth diagnostic.
Welcome.
Happy resting.
Yes, very good. So you're listening to the SBI podcast. I'm your host, Matt Sharrers, and today's guest is Stephanie Ciccarelli, the Chief Brand Officer for Voices.com. So today, Stephanie and I are demonstrating how to create an inspiring brand that tells your strategic story. So we're going to jump back into the questions. So Stephanie, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. What is Voices.com's brand promise and brand promise guarantee?
Well, as you know, we have 2 customer sets. So in effect, we have 2 different value propositions that we give them. So the client side, which are the advertisers, the producers, those who are hiring the voice actors, what we promise them is that they will receive fast and easy service, and they will find the voice that they are looking for. Now, on the talent side, what we offer them is guaranteed opportunity. Now, we don't guarantee that they'll get work on the platform. However, we do say, you get on Voices.com, you create a profile, you fill it out, you make it really attractive for people to find you and to have all your voice samples up there. If they're subscribing and if they're getting those opportunities regularly, in addition to all the visibility that they have, this whole suite of services, essentially the benefits of being a member, then they will have opportunity. And that is something that we help to generate for them that they may not be able to do for themselves, or they may not have an agent, they may not have someone else who's helping them in that regard. It's really great for the talent because finding these opportunities is quite hard.
Right. Very good. So, Stephanie, on that topic, describe this whole concept of the 360-degree picture of the world that your brand lives and acts in, because you talked about the 2 sets of stakeholders that you serve. So can you describe that world that your brand lives and acts in?
Absolutely. So we have what I like to refer to as our ecosystem. So Voices.com is kind of in the middle of it. I often will say all roads or all leads, all links even will lead to Voices.com. Right. And that's more true than ever before. But certainly, we are aware that we are not the only player. We are a platform, which makes us different from everybody else. And because we're a platform, then we are in a position to help others to achieve their goals. And so we have, our talent who are listed on the website. Then you have coaches who coach and train talent to help them to achieve, a certain level of excellence in their own careers. Then you've got agents and you've got people on the casting side. And then on the other side of the equation, you have the clients. And so, those are producers, as we talked about before. They're people, maybe they're a Fortune 500 company. Maybe they're just the mom and pop shop down the road and they need an auto attendant for their voicemail and everything. It just seems to me that we touch so many different parts of this industry that 360 view, Matt, really is a matter of how do we relate to everyone and how do they relate to us? Right. And because we're a disruptive force in this industry, how can we help to bring those alongside who may feel like that they've been left behind or that they have no role? That isn't true. It's just that the way that they do business has shifted now.
So the whole concept of the different stakeholders, and as you talked about bringing people along, there's the functional essence of a brand, which describes what I get. Then you've got the emotional essence of a brand, right? What do I feel? You mentioned this at the top of the day, talking about Cheerios, right? You made me think about Campbell's chicken noodle soup when I was a kid. That's what my mom would give me when I wasn't feeling good, right? It makes me feel healthy. It makes me feel safe. That's how Campbell's made me feel. So can you help us think through functional essence of the brand versus emotional essence, and how have you defined that?
Well, for us, like we're a utility in many ways to people, right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like the hydroelectricity. You need it.
Yep.
And when you don't have it, you notice. So and that's just a part and parcel of, I guess, the functional aspect of voices.com is that we are part of people's workflow.
Sure.
You know, we're in their process the day in, day out. They come and they do what they need to do, especially if they're a voice artist. Like they're in there probably auditioning, some of them 30 to 40 times a day, depending, right? And that's on the high end, I'll admit. But then you've got also high volume people in advertising agencies who are posting these jobs like possibly day in, day out, or weekly they're in there doing it. So like the functional aspect of voices.com and the brand and kind of the real estate that we hold for them is that it just feels like something that they need.
Right.
It adds value to their day. It streamlines their work and their life in a lot of ways. Now, on the emotional side of what we do, again, like we help to fulfill dreams in many ways. And I say that because clients or advertising agencies who come to our website to post a job, they have this story that they want to tell.
Yeah.
And in that story is a message that needs to reach people, like a certain audience, maybe a group of people. This matters to them. It's educational, it's informational, or it's entertaining. There's three different kind of areas where it could go. But at the end of the day, everyone is telling a story. And so when you get to produce an amazing video, or you have a talking toy you're really proud of, or whatever it might happen to be, you're doing with excellence. And every time a project is completed on voices.com, it's as if they have achieved their goal. They have reached the dream. Like something inside them feels like they have achieved. They've gotten, to a milestone, if you will. They've reached the summit. They've finished that job, and it just feels so good. So for those sort of people, it is a realization of, something's come to fruition. They feel like this is it. And especially those people who are coming to do voiceover work, because voiceover is the last piece of the puzzle for so many people in post-production, so far as their production is concerned.
Yep.
But for the talent side, you're opening up doors of opportunity that might lead to a better life for themselves, for their family. We have stories of people who have started on our website. They were told they had a great voice, and then all of a sudden they're doing it part-time,
Right.
and then they tell their boss, oh, by the way, I'm making more money at this voiceover thing now, so here's my resignation, and I'm going to move, from Jersey to LA, and I'm going to, raise my kids there and work from home and watch my 2-year-old, learn how to write words. And there are things in life that you cannot get back, and time is one of them. And so for our voice talent, what we're doing is we're giving them the opportunity to work for themselves, to really go after their dreams and their goals using voices.com as a platform, one tool that they can apply, in addition to anything else they may be doing, that will help them to realize that lifestyle that they would like for themselves, but also to be part of stories that they want to tell.
I have to tell you, so listening to you describe your brand, you talk about the emotional essence, the passion in your answer. And obviously, as a co-founder, everybody's going to be passionate. I'm very passionate about SBI as its CEO. But the way you talked about fulfilling people's dreams and carrying that thread all the way through to watching your 2-year-old grow up, being able to work from home, quit a job you don't like, and stop living somebody else's agenda, that is powerful. So for those of you listening, before Stephanie and I take this break, you want to think about how you apply some of these learnings. You want to translate the brand that the sales force takes to every single interaction that they're having with a prospect, with a customer. You want to have a very definitive brand promise and brand promise guarantee, and the brand is everywhere around you in B2B. So for those of you listening in, whether you're running sales, whether you're running marketing, whether you're running product, or you're the CEO, you want to ask yourself, how am I activating the brand on a day-to-day basis through my sales force? So we're going to take another break. Melissa's got something to share with you.
Yes, that was definitely inspiring, Stephanie,
Yes.
so thank you. So if you, our audience, are inspired by Stephanie's emerging best practices and you want to define and breathe life into your brand and need help with your strategy, consider enlisting the help of one of our team of experts here at SBI. We are available to hold an interactive workshop with you And I'd love to see you all here at the studio here in Dallas, Texas. We've got a fantastic facility. You can get your team down here for a roll up your sleeves and get down and dirty in the trenches and just uncover it all and solve all of your problems. So to get an idea of what's covered in these workshops, you can go to sbi.tips/2018 workbook.
Wonderful. So this is our last segment with Stephanie, and we're demonstrating brand strategy and brand planning. And this has been fascinating. So we're going to jump back into the questions. So Stephanie, how does the Voices.com brand impression differ from that of your competitors?
Well, Voices.com has always been a company that is focused on the customer. I think that in a world of online anything, it can be challenging to kind of make yourself human, to stand out as someone who cares about somebody, to be, have empathy and to really show that you are passionate about their success. So that is one way, just simply as being an online, entity. Another way that we differentiate ourselves is through our customer service, which of course is related to that human aspect. But we come from our own industry, and not everyone does that, right? So when you have co-founders, one of which is an audio recording engineer by his training, and it was kind of like the Ivy League of recording schools that he went to, and then to have the other be a degreed music professional, and voice was my instrument, and acting certainly always part of my life as well. Won't go all the way back into that, but we have the gifts and the knowledge and the desire and just like the motivation to do these things that someone who doesn't come from industry would not necessarily have. But really what we've done is we've helped to shift our industry and to create new opportunities. And that is a very clear differentiator. It's not just, your name is this, or you're based in this city or whatnot. It is a little bit deeper than that, but we're also, creators. So in that sense, we want to help people to tell their stories. We want to see them, reach and engage and speak to people in the language they need to hear. So much of our work is done in different languages. I don't know if that came across when I spoke earlier, but we do business in 139 countries. And so you can only imagine the languages and the accents and the dialect work that come through Voices.com as well for other audiences. And I just think it's amazing to be able to have over 200,000 voice actors from around the world on the website. And they have what it takes to reach the hearts and minds and ears of those other people they need to speak to, because they're native speakers of those languages. And I think it's that dedication to just being the storyteller that truly sets us apart.
Well, so when I think about that and our brand promise, so just to let you know that I'm on brand, is we tell our clients that our job is to help you make your number. So as you notice with every podcast, every show, everything we do, it's about making sure that we help people make their number. And we want to bring to them best practices and emerging best practices that allow them to grow faster than their industry and their competitors. So when I hear you articulate what the Voices.com brand is, I can see the differentiation. So is there a way that the sales force is inspired to sort of share that brand relevance and differentiation that sort of lays out that story from the founding of the company to the 139 countries, I think you mentioned, that where you're able to make a difference? How do you connect that element of the strategic story?
Well, it goes through every department, really, but the ones that interface with customers are certainly on the front lines of that. So customer service is able to deliver on the brand promise and make everyone feel a certain way that, whatever you see on social media is going to be the same sort of person that you reach at customer service. But in an even more tangible way is when our account managers who are working with some of the biggest brands in the world, when they're able to help walk that brand or that agent from advertising agency along the path of what is our brand sound, what are we looking for, how are we going to communicate this in a way that is meaningful. Our people are helping others to articulate their brand in ways that maybe they don't know how to. They're also helping them to find and narrow down the list of those talent who may be the best fit for that company. So when it comes to living out the whole, brand promise, well, it's fast, easy, you'll find your voice. Well, it's not just you'll find a voice, it's that you will find the voice that you want to represent you. And usually it's you'll know it when you hear it sort of thing. But, like when you hear it, it is just so, there's no experience like it. You just know that you're absolutely taken care of, and that everyone here at voices.com knows exactly how to help you to achieve that goal.
That's wonderful. All right, so that leads into my last question, which I think some of that you've alluded to which is, how does the entire company, from your sales force to customer success to engineering, how do they live the brand in every interaction with customers and prospects and partners?
Well, it all starts with the brand, I think, but also the company culture, because if those two are not in alignment, then you will have the brand voice suffer as a result, because it will not feel like it's unified, right? Like you can't behave one way in the office and whatever, and then all of a sudden have to put on a different hat when you're serving a customer. I think that part of why we are so successful is that we have an established culture that the brand, and really David and I, have shaped over these years, that if that solid foundation were not there, then you couldn't have the consistency. You wouldn't have that experience that people have come to expect. So if your company culture is healthy and it is reflecting the brand, or the brand has influenced the culture because the founders created the brand and infused it into everything that they did, then that's where you're going to see the continuity and that experience being lived out through everyone, because they want to uphold this image, this beautiful world that you've created. And it's a privilege to work in a company like that, where you feel like you can do your best work, that you're challenged, you're motivated, but also you feel that you're contributing, you're doing something meaningful. And that is what we strive for at voices.com.
Wonderful. Well, Stephanie, I got to tell you, that was a great demonstration of brand strategy and planning. So on behalf of Melissa, myself, the rest of the SBI community and our audience, I want to thank you for contributing to the body of knowledge in this area. And obviously, I always want to thank the SBI audience for tuning in. So thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you very much.
So before we go, Melissa's got one more thing to share with you. So Melissa, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, to our audience, if you are not inspired by the passion displayed in Stephanie's voice today, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know that we can help you if you're not.
That's right. You got something's wrong.
We want you to be a part of the SBI community. So please go to salesbenchmarkindex.com/register. And there you can hear Stephanie and see her video again, as well as access other pieces of content on topics of interest to you. You can select what you want to receive and when you want to receive it. Thanks, Matt.
All right. That's it for today, everybody. As always, until next time, I wish you good luck as you try and make your number.
This has been the SBI Podcast. For more information on the studio, SBI's Executive Briefing Center, our team, or to schedule a workshop, please visit salesbenchmarkindex.com.